All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Welcome in, Frankie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, John. How about you, brother?
I'm finally getting my voice back. I was at the Cleveland Browns visiting the Indianapolis Colts right down the street from where I live, and my voice is a little hoarse from that one. There's a lot of cheering, a lot of going crazy in that one, man.
How fun was it being there watching Myles Garrett just eat the Colts' ass?
Oh my God. He straight up box jumped over the offensive lineman to block a kick. Blocked it up here, by the way. Like his forearm blocked that kick. One of the most athletic plays by a human being I've ever seen in my life. It was incredible. They were great.
Just absurd the way he operates, man. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, he's making a huge push for Defensive Player of the Year, man. I mean, he's got to be favored for it right now.
I mean, John, you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of me performing against you this week and beating your ass in one of our very similar.
Shitty, crippled team had no business showing up and coming to my house. In my house, God, your team is limping along. You took down the high point, man. Congratulations. My guys just didn't show up. Hey, sometimes they just don't show up, man. You can have all the right ideas, make all of the right decisions. It's up to the players at the end of the day. That's why it's called fantasy football, Frankie.
Great coaching.
Yeah, now real football, I'll take you on the field, buddy. You almost choked there. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. I know I'm much older than you are, but I got a little juice left, I think. I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't even imagine trying to do that right now. No way, man. I get out of breath just walking to the kitchen sometimes. What are you talking about? Go get a beer. Yeah, I know. Welcome to the show, everyone. We've got a great episode for you today. I can't believe we're already talking about week 7 and moving into week 8. I mean, this season is flying. Today, we've got your week 7 ice and fire, and then we're going to do a little Thursday night football preview. But first and foremost, let's get to the news.
The season after your listeners don't expect.
News and notes. All right, we'll see if I can get through this pretty quickly here. Really weird situation. Chris Olave was arrested, by the way, over the weekend for going 70 and a 35. Apparently wasn't intoxicated. There wasn't... I don't know. It's weird news. I don't think it's going to affect him this week, but just keep an eye, make sure he doesn't get suspended or something, or they'll probably just slap him on the wrist. Dawson Knox, tight end for the Buffalo Bills, having wrist surgery. Return is TBD. Probably would go on an IR after a wrist surgery, I would imagine. Dalton Kincaid, Frank, how you feeling about him now? Next man up, Dalton Kincaid.
Love me some Dalton Kincaid on this offense, John. We saw what happened when Dawson Knox went down. Dalton Kincaid's been waiting in the whims, waiting for his opportunity, and he took it. Love him.
Was that another Eastern European phrase that you screwed up there? Waiting in the whims. I'm just not familiar with that one.
Oh, yeah, I can send you some links afterward, of course. It's absolutely a thing. How would you, just curious, out of curiosity, how would you say it?
I say waiting in the wings because you're waiting in the wings on stage, the left or right wing, to come out. And hey, whatever, Balky. It's fine. Balky Bartakamus. I just always have to call Frankie out when he's a wonderful wordsmith sometimes, you know. Jerome Ford, running back for the Cleveland Browns. He's going to miss 1 to 2 weeks here. I think this is a lucky best case scenario. Apparently, he's got a, quote, low-grade high ankle sprain. So put all those words together. He's looking at missing 1 to 2 weeks here. Talk to me about this Browns backfield, Frankie. How do you see this shaking out? And is this something you want to do with the remaining schedule coming up in the next 2 games? Yeah,
so for me, I'm definitely going to be targeting Pierre Strong on that waiver wire, guys. What we saw to Pierre Strong was he truly stepped in with Kareem Hunt getting injured, and then obviously Jerome Ford going down, and he looked great. I mean, he really did. He looked explosive. He looked like he knew the offense. He looked like he could step up and be a serviceable running back here. Now, that's not to say they don't bring in an additional somebody, maybe off the practice squad, off another team's practice squad to bolster up this running back depth a little bit. But I do like Pierre Strong on the waiver. And John, if Kareem Hunt can run, he needs to be a must start. This guy needs to be a must start. And I want to caveat that with, again, asterisk next to this saying if he does play. He was a beast getting the opportunity to go in and on that 4th and goal and getting the ball. He is banged up. I mean, that thigh bruise apparently is insane. Like how they were describing it in the media, it's pretty wicked. So we're not really sure if he's going to be able to play or not. So if that is the case and he's not, love Pierre Strong. If it is the case, I like Pierre Strong and I love me some Kareem Hunt.
Okay, so the advice here, because we've got at Seattle and then we've got at home against Arizona. These are great matchups for a running back, which really sad I'm losing Jerome Ford for these 2 weeks, by the way. So we're looking at if Kareem Hunt is good to go, you feel good about starting him flex RB2?
Yes, definitely.
If he is good to go, do you still feel okay with Pierre Strong?
Yes, depending on how the week ends up panning out, especially in a 14-man league. John, we're in one right now. I would be salivating to fire up Pierre Strong as long as, everything continues to along the trajectory of Kareem Hunt's a little banged up. He's not really practicing on Wednesday, not really practicing on Thursday. He might go full go on Friday. That's a good indicator to me that Pierre Strong has been taking the reps. I'm going to roll with Pierre Strong as a double flex or something like that.
Yeah, and if Kareem does not go, Pierre Strong all day long.
Fire him up.
Yeah, give him 20 touches, man. Okay, let's stay with the Browns for a quick second. Deshaun Watson, questionable to start this week, Sunday versus Seattle. Deshaun Watson, man. I mean, you and I were talking about this in the green room here before the show. Run a breakdown of your just thoughts on the man, the player. What is Browns going to do here? The Browns were literally an okay quarterback away from being a contender. What do they do here?
It's the worst possible situation to be happening, John. And that's the reality of the situation, is because we're in purgatory. And what that means is every day, every single moment, we're waiting on hearing what Stefanski's saying about Deshaun. What is Deshaun doing? Is he practicing? Is he not practicing? Is he still day to day? What does that even mean? And meanwhile, PJ Walker, good example last week, didn't even take the first team reps at all. Even Thursday and Friday, it was purely Deshaun. And so if that ends up coming into fruition this week, we're in the same exact position. And the secondary is a completely different animal for Seattle than that of their rush defense. So this is also a problem to take into consideration with those cornerbacks playing absolutely top notch right now and Bobby Wagner in the middle. And so for me, man, this is not super great right away for Deshaun. How I'm looking, if I am the Browns, it is to the point to where PJ Walker, God bless you, man. God bless you. You have done everything, and honestly, then some, that we asked you to do. The reality of the situation is, statistically speaking, all bias taken out, he's the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. Straight up by stats. That's data. Now, he has beaten or aided in beating the number one team in the NFL, or what was the number one team, and it pulled off an insane comeback, right? And again, that was on the back of Myles Garrett in the defense. So we can, right, to your point, we are one quarterback away. If I am Andrew Berry, I'm calling Carson Wentz. If I am Andrew Berry, I'm going to potentially call the Washington Commanders and discuss a potential trade to bring in Jacoby Brissett. He already knows the style of offense. He's not getting the play. Sam Howell is their guy. It makes a lot of sense. Jacoby's rotting away there. So we have to figure something out from this position, because if Deshaun needs to sit down and just do his thing for 3 weeks, for 3 additional weeks, that's okay. Now we have a guy that can step and we know can play at a high level. Compared to now, we are truly in a purgatory. We're walking out a guy who, God bless him, he's really struggling at the quarterback position. He's getting it done in the most minuscule way you could possibly do it, right? But on the other hand, we're all waiting for Deshaun Watson after the game that he had against Tennessee. And there was so much hype. And it's like, after these last 4 weeks, Sean, all the hype is sucked out. And so you asked my opinion. My opinion is we need to get back a quarterback. And then if Deshaun can go, you start Deshaun.
Trade deadline at the end of the month here. So we'll see. Another very active. They're looking for help, for offensive help. I think you're right. I think a backup quarterback would be a major.
Cheap option. Bring his ass in. You know?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Boy, I can't believe he's still in the league, man. He played for us once already. We've done this. I think that Deshaun Watson play in this game. I don't know if he's getting pressure from the media or what. How did they not notice 0 zip on his ball in Thursday and Friday practice? Because those passes he made in the game, as soon as it left his hands, I went, oh, that's going to be picked. When a ball floats in the air, it's picked 99 out of 100 times in the NFL. Yeah, I don't get it. All right, we could do a whole podcast on why we are frustrated with Deshaun Watson. Let's move on. Bijan Robinson, let's go to another frustration here. He had 1 carry for 3 yards because he wasn't feeling well. I looked into the situation here. He wasn't feeling well Saturday night, apparently. He practiced all week, everything fine, no injuries whatsoever. Wasn't feeling well Saturday night, headaches, that type of thing. Sunday came in and just was hurting. 0 reporting of this, of an illness or anything.
Terrible.
And they just kind of held him out. What you were talking about the NFL looking to fine the Atlanta Falcons for. Talk about that.
That's right. Yeah. The NFL right now is investigating the Atlanta Falcons for how they handled this health issue, is what they're calling it. Because technically, if there's a health issue, you have to report it in some aspect of some way. So because he wasn't feeling well on Saturday, knowing that he wasn't feeling better on Sunday, yet didn't report anything, that's a massive, massive problem. So now, right, the Falcons could end up getting fined and more issues could end up coming out with that of Arthur Smith and things of that nature. So, well, it's TBD, but the good news is, the positive thing is Bijan is not injured. He's not hurt. It was a sickness, and we should be seeing him, whether it's this week or next week, at full strength.
Okay. Justin Fields, doubtful for Sunday with the thumb injury. He's not playing, man. Tyson Bagent, Bilbo Bagent is going to take the field. How did he do here, buddy? How was the backup quarterback in Chicago this week?
He did awesome, man. He did awesome. Shout out to Bilbo Bagent over here, man. Like, coming off of a rookie. John, can I just 5 seconds, guys? Story about him in 30 seconds. Ready? This was a dude who was Gatorade Player of the Year for West Virginia. From West Virginia, didn't receive not one Division I offer, okay? Ends up going and playing D2, where his family's from, at Shepherd University. Ends up setting every possible record you can possibly have, from passing yards, total touchdowns, etc. Blew it out of the water. Goes undrafted this year. Ends up getting signed by the Bears, or invited to their training camp. Beats out PJ Walker, who is the starting Cleveland Browns quarterback, who has a $4 million contract. Beat him out for third quarterback on the depth chart. Then beats out Nathan Peterman, which isn't very hard to do. But
Hey, Peterman.
And became second on the depth chart. Guys, Justin Fields goes down. Rookie steps in, 21 for 29, over 160 yards and a touchdown. Really, really awesome story, man. I'm pumped for him. Hats off to you, brother.
Hats off to you. Hats off to you, Bilbo. Gotta love it, man. All right, we got a couple of guys questionable here. Chris Godwin is questionable with a neck injury. Who else? We have Daniel Jones still questionable as well. Miles Sanders questionable. DK Metcalf was a late scratch in the game, questionable with a hip injury. Zach Charbonnet still questionable. These are guys you're just going to have to keep an eye on. We don't know yet. It's too early in the week to tell if they're going to be able to play or not, but just keep an eye on that. We've got some guys going on the IR here, guys. A lot of them were named on Saturday to the IR. Damian Harris placed on IR. The entire backfield for the Los Angeles Rams put on the IR. Kyron Williams and Ronnie Rivers. Frankie, let's talk about this Rams backfield now. We've got a couple of new guys in there with Darrell Henderson, who had a great game, by the way. Guy comes off the couch, literally watching football on the couch the week before, and comes in and it's, what do you have? Over 20 carries, right? Or 20 touches.
He had 19 touches for 66 yards from scrimmage and a rushing touchdown, John.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah. And then they signed, who was the other guy they signed? Royce Freeman. Correct? Yeah.
Yes. And he also didn't do too bad, John. I mean, really, looking this up here, I mean, he ended up having 12 carries for 66 yards. I mean, both these running backs held their own.
Yeah. So about a 50-50 split or so. They're more familiar, obviously, with Darrell Henderson. What are you seeing moving forward? I mean, is this somebody that you can play next week?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he did go back down to practice squad, so they're going to have to either figure out either they're signing him or potentially bring him back up or hope he doesn't get signed by another team. But yeah, as of right now, I mean, with Kyron Williams and Ronnie Rivers both down and out, the way Henderson played, man, it's hard not to fire him up, John. I mean, seriously, he looked great.
Okay. All right. Pat Freiermuth also placed on IR. Greg Dulcich, tight end for the Broncos, placed on IR. And Zach Ertz. Late news here that he is going to be placed on IR with a squad strain. Tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. Christian Watson, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, left the game with a knee injury late in the game. He is questionable for week 8 as well, so keep an eye on him. Saquon, Jesus, man, I can't do it anymore. Saquon Barkley, running back for the New York Football Giants, hyperextended his elbow, but he should be good to go for week 8. But we've seen this stuff with running backs with these injuries early in the week. Keep an eye out for sure and have plans in case he doesn't go. Tank Dell, wide receiver for the Houston Texans in the concussion protocol, should be good to go this week. Monitor his practice. Deebo Samuel will be out for week 8, still hurt. Roschon Johnson, still in the concussion protocol, but optimistic that he does play in week 8. Okay, let's talk about the Bears backfield for a second here. Talk to me for a minute, man, because we just had, we're going to get to it on the fire segment, I'm sure. But Deontay Foreman, guy, healthy scratch for 2, I think, of the first 5 games, something like that. Comes in 3 touchdowns. I mean, just played like a beast on angry runs. I don't know if you watched that on Tuesday morning. He had 2 submissions in angry runs. He won angry runs. Guy was running like a beast, man. I mean, what's this backfield looking like? What if we got Roschon Johnson potentially coming back this week? You going to stay in the flames with Deontay Foreman, or is he going to come back to earth a little bit with a little more work being taken from him?
Foreman is going to be one of the most difficult people to evaluate early on because are we seeing what we saw in Carolina, which was nothing short of spectacular, was an actual RB2 / borderline RB1 towards the end of the year? That is who Foreman was in Carolina. We again, healthy scratch twice already this year, gets the nod as the 3rd string running back, almost 4th string at this point, and goes for 89 yards on 16 carries with 2 rushing touchdowns. And he caught 3 of 5 targets, 5 targets for 31 yards and also a touchdown. I don't know if this is Tyson Bagent. I don't know if this is Deontay Foreman. I don't know if this is just totally the unpredictability of the Bears and not knowing how to scheme against them. That is why this is so difficult, because it's a mixture of everything. So for me, John, I am not going to fire up Deontay Foreman this week, especially with that of Roschon Johnson if he's coming back. And it's not necessarily because I think Roschon Johnson is going to be balling. It's because I need to wait and see how Foreman is with another guy breathing down his back and that of Johnson. So for me, I need to hold and wait, but absolutely should be a guy that is rostered. No question.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. It's hopefully you're not in a position where you have to play Deontay Foreman this week. We've got 0 buys this week. So that's definitely going to help. But I think I'm with you. I want to see what it looks like with the 2 of them in there. And you're going to have some time. Khalil Herbert's got some time before he's coming back. So you'll be able to figure it out. All right, sounds good. Ryan Tannehill, questionable with an ankle injury. Reports from the team is that it looks like they're going to use both backups. Could see time in this coming game in week 8. Oh, God, what a shit show that's going to be. So you've got Malik Willis and Will Levis.
Mayonnaise man. I'm all about it.
Mayonnaise man. Why do you say that?
You haven't heard that? Oh my God.
No.
So guys, listen in, right? Come in closer. Ready?
I'm coming.
Will Levis puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Will Levis puts mayonnaise in his coffee as the creamer and enjoys it. It's really shocking. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. Yeah.
No, next episode, I'm fucking doing it. I don't care. I love mayonnaise. I'm a mayonnaise sucker.
Do it.
And let me tell you something else.
Great. Apparently,
I fucking love coffee too. So I'm gonna listen. I've heard the people do the bulletproof coffee with the butter inside. It just gives a little thickness, gives you those fatty acid, all the stuff you need for like keto and all that shit. Mayonnaise? Okay. All right, I'll give it a shot. Is this like the buffalo sauce and the what was the drink and the Pepsi and buffalo that Josh Allen was doing?
Yep, totally.
You know what? Would you rather?
Okay.
Buffalo and Pepsi, mayonnaise and coffee.
Buffalo and Pepsi. No question.
Oh, no. I'm the opposite.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I have zero interest in the Pepsi and Buffalo.
Really?
No
it's
way.
Going to be savory. It's going to be bubbly. It's carbonated. It's just
I know what it's going to be.
I just ate a hot wing and I'm, washing it down with some Pepsi compared to, hey, let me squirt some fucking mayonnaise in your strong ass coffee that's already syrupy thick with how you make coffee. You know what I mean? Like it's just, yeah, interesting. Okay.
I guarantee you sip that first sip of coffee and you go,
you just get the chunk.
God.
On there. It's not even stirred in.
That makes me sick just thinking about it. God damn it. Oh, you're disgusting. Let's get into Frankie and Johnny's Song of Ice and Mayonnaise. Oh, God. Okay, Frank. Let's break this down here, man. All right, let's look at ice first and foremost, guys. We had some heavy hitters here that definitely hurt you. We're not talking about goose eggs, but it's ice. Cooper Kupp, first one on here. He hurt me. Didn't, destroy you, but more than 6 points is what you're hoping for each and every week out of Cooper Kupp. 2 for 29 with a 2-point conversion, 6 points for Cooper Kupp. How about Puka, though, Frankie?
Puka looking nice.
Yeah, it's something like 11 for 135 or something crazy. I mean, he was awesome, man.
He went nuts, dude. He looked great. Absolutely great.
Another one on here, Josh Jacobs. My God, if there was a time to start Josh Jacobs, it was right now, man. We had our buddy of ours that always comments and everything on YouTube. We love you, man. We appreciate you.
Carly Jones.
There you go, G. Carly Jones. Gave us a really difficult start-sit question this past week, and Josh Jacobs was one of them. And this is obviously a more shallow league. They were all great players. It was extremely difficult to make the call. And we didn't even consider sitting Josh Jacobs in this list because, I mean, how could you? If you're going to sit Josh Jacobs, what was it, versus Denver?
It was, Josh. It was Josh Jacobs versus Chicago.
Or Chicago, yeah.
It was Josh Jacobs versus Chicago. It was Keenan Allen, Amon-Ra St. Brown against Baltimore, and Raheem Mostert against the Eagles.
Yeah, it's crazy. Probably should have sat Josh Jacobs here, buddy. Sorry, man. We didn't realize that. 11 for 35, only 5 points for Josh Jacobs against the Chicago Bears. Weird game. Jared Goff. Oh, man, this one hurt me too. 33 for 53, 284 yards. All right, that sounds like a Jared Goff game. A pick, 2 fumbles, 5 sacks, 0 tutties. That's no bueno. 3 points for Jared Goff. Craig Reynolds. Not really stepping in and doing what Monty does, is he, Frankie? No. 3 for 16 for 3 points. Jamison Williams, 0 catches on 6 targets. Big ol' goose egg. Not a guy you can play. I'm sorry. Until I see more consistency out of him, it's not somebody I can start. Austin Eckler, man. Ooh, not great here. 14 for 45, 5 points. Amari Cooper. Damn it, Amari Cooper. 2 for 8 for 22, 3 points. Gabe Davis, he's either on fire or ice every single week. I just kind of move his name in our notes from one section to the other each and every week.
And here you go.
And there he is. I don't even have to type his name out. 1 catch for 5 targets, 6 yards, 1 point. Calvin Ridley. Man, I'm really disappointed about Calvin Ridley. I don't have him anywhere, but I was really high on him, and I'm really rooting for him to have a huge comeback this year. But it's been tough, man. 1 catch for 5 yards, 1 point. I mean, he's really kind of, you can't really lock him in each and every week at this point. He's kind of a wide receiver 3 at this point, right?
Yeah. He's been more boomer bust, and it hurts my soul, John. This is one of my champions, and I was very high on him coming in. But yeah, this is a guy that Christian Kirk is stealing a lot of what's happening, man. That and Evan Ingram. And so they're almost using him as a decoy at this point.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Christian Kirk is lighting it up, by the way. Guy's been consistent as hell. He is a guy that I think you can start wide receiver 2 or flex every single week. All right, Frankie, that's good. Let's get rid of the shit and the ice and all that stuff. Let's get the fire, baby. Why don't you give me the top quarterback for the week, Frank? You got that ready?
Top quarterback for the week and week 7. Absolutely, John. We are talking about Patty Ice, P Money Mahomes with Taylor Swift singing some songs with his wife, Brittany, up in that beautiful box, them 2 songbirds. Well, they were pumped up. They had a lot to be singing about, baby. Patrick Mahomes ends up dicing up the Chargers this week, threw for 424 yards, 4 tutties, and also had 4 carries for 29 yards. John, what does that equate to? Well, I'm happy to tell you. 43 fantasy points for Patrick Mahomes. Absolutely on fire this week, my man.
That's beautiful. It's good to see Patrick Mahomes here. I mean, he's just, the Chiefs are still the best team in the AFC, certainly. I mean, they're just awesome. And, Mahomes, speaking of, we've got Rashee Rice. We got an emerging star, I think, here, Frank. I mean, he's really, really been good. Is he a guy that you are feeling better about starting? Is he a guy right now, week 8? Can you put him in your lineup and feel good about that?
Yes, in deeper leagues, 100%. If he was on my roster in my 14-man league, I'm telling you right now, I'm starting him. No question about it. It's a double flex league. Even if you're in a 12-man league and you are busted up with injuries, maybe you had JJ, maybe you have a Calvin Ridley, right? Some of these guys that are underperforming or truly just hurt. Yeah, certainly. Don't be shy. Fire him up, because right now he is absolutely getting a lot more looks than what he ever has. And he's performing with the looks that he's getting, something that no other Chiefs receiver has really kind of taken and ran with yet.
Yeah, I would. He's a target for me right now. Definitely. Before he gets a lot of name recognition,
buy low.
Buy low on this guy. And it's not even low at this point. It's just, I don't think a lot of people know who he is. He's probably been rotting on someone's bench who doesn't need him. Make an offer. See what you can get. This is literally could be a league-winning guy here. The Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes are not going to slow down. And Mahomes starts getting some chemistry with a receiver. Oh, my God. Game over. This guy's talented. It's not MVS and Sky Moore. I've got Sky Moore on my team. He's never going to make it into my starting lineup. I can probably drop him at this point. He's just out there. We talked about it. He's doing cardio, man. Mm-hmm. They're just out there running routes every goddamn play and never touching the ball hardly. Although this last game, everybody got a little bit involved because Mahomes decided to go crazy. All right, I'm going to talk about our number 2 quarterback here, man, because he helped me to a huge victory this week. Been waiting for him to pop off. Lamar Jackson. Great game out of Lamar. This is, as a Browns fan, this terrifies me because it looks like the Ravens got their shit together on offense.
Totally.
It looks like that Todd Monken offense is clicking. They literally were just able to do anything they wanted to do. It was crazy. You want to run some screens? It looked like they were just practicing. Like, hey, let's try out some new shit. Everything was working. He was absolutely incredible. Let's look at his game log here. He was 21 for 27, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns, an absolute perfect QB rating. I mean, he was fantastic. 9 rushes, 36 yards, and a rushing touchdown as well.
This is against a good defense, John. That's against
very good
Detroit.
Team. Yeah. Yeah, and they just absolutely destroyed Detroit. It's the NFL, man. It's any given Sunday. You saw Buffalo lose to New England. That seemed impossible. We've seen Philly lose. We've seen San Francisco lose 2 in a row now. Nobody is perfect. Every team is beatable. We've seen the chinks in the armor for the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Dolphins. Dolphins as well. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the Ravens, they're looking good. Lamar's back on track, man. All right, who else we got as quarterbacks here, Frank?
John, we got Kirk Cousins, number 3. By the way, still number 6, top 10 in QB for the league so far. This dude, I mean, just let that chain out after this past game, baby. Take off your shirt, take out the chain. 35 completions on 45 total passes for 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, leading his team to victory against the 49ers. Unbelievable game without JJ.
Yeah. Now we got a budding star rookie for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll be talking about it here shortly. Let's talk about Josh Allen with 27 points, Jalen Hurts with 23, Mac Jones making an appearance here in the top 5 or top 10, 23 points, Gardner goddamn Minshew 22, Tyrod Taylor 21. I didn't want to keep going, but I just had to mention those guys because I know you didn't start those guys.
No.
All right, let's look at some running backs here. Top running backs. Number 1 on the week, Deonta Foreman. We talked about it. 31 points out of Deonta Foreman, 3 touchdown performance. Alvin Kamara, talk about your boy, man.
John, I am loving Alvin Kamara, what he's doing this year. I mean, John, he looks incredible. So far, I mean, this past week, he carried the ball 17 times for 62 yards, and he was targeted 14 times. He was targeted 14 times and caught 12 of them for 91 yards. Okay, this dude is special. He is old school, back to who he was, Alvin Kamara, what we're used to seeing. If you drafted him in the 4th or 5th round, you are just salivating and reaping the reward for what he's been able to do for your team, John. And I don't see any of this slowing down. With how bad Derek Carr is playing, he is playing way more like check down Charlie than we've ever seen him play. And on top of it, their offensive line is terrible. So they are having really a lot of troubles running in between the tackles right now. So Alvin Kamara truly is the best option on this entire offense at this point in time, and he is taking it by storm. John, he ended up having 23 fantasy points this past week. And by the way, since he has come back and starting in week 4, in half PPR, he's averaging 17 points a game, and he hasn't had a single-digit week yet. Unbelievable.
And this past week was a good indication because we did have Jamal Williams back in the lineup and Kendre Miller back in the lineup. So that's where it was going to be scary was, is that going to, die down at all? No, Kamara's the dude. He is the dude. All right, who else we got here, Frank? We got a little treat of something we've all been hoping for, and how to play out, man.
It was awesome. Jahmyr Gibbs, baby. Welcome to the show. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you,
happy.
Jahmyr. Yeah.
John, he ran the ball 11 times for 68 yards and 1 touchdown. And here's what else is crazy. He had 9 catches on 10 targets for 58 yards. It is about time that they start using this guy as a receiver out of the backfield, and look at what we're seeing. He is very similar to that of Alvin Kamara, and they need to start leveraging him as so, especially with David Montgomery out. Excellent job. 23 fantasy points for Jahmyr Gibbs.
He was fantastic in the passing game, and they need to continue that. Hopefully they unlocked something here and learned something. They can get Monty back and truly have a 1-2 punch, because they never really did. They never utilized Gibbs enough in the passing game. No. All right, next guy, I'm going to talk about the running back 3 on the season in half PPR right now. Travis Etienne, man. I was not super high on him coming into the season. I didn't know enough about him. Didn't know how they were going to utilize him. Well, they're fucking utilizing him. He has 2 touchdowns in each of the last 3 games. That's awesome for fantasy football. My God. Travis Etienne, 21 points there. Number 5, Gus Edwards, 20 points. Of course, I think most of that was all on that big 80-yard run. By the way, an 80-yard breakout run, and it was not a touchdown. It's nearly impossible to run 80 yards on a football field and not score the touchdown, which is really funny, actually. Christian McCaffrey, I guess his obliques are fine. Down week for him with only 20 points.
What a shame.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor. Hey, welcome to the show, buddy. 19 points. Jonathan Taylor. Jerome Ford in the exact same game, 18 points. Didn't even play the whole game here. James Cook. He's been ticking up here, Frankie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about James Cook for a second. He's had some really nice games. He's the running back 15 and a half PPR. This was at New England. Somewhat of a difficult rushing defense, historically. You make the argument either way this year. Who the hell knows? But James Cook, man, 17 fantasy points, 13 for 56 on the ground, 3 catches for 46 yards and a touchdown. I mean, the guy is getting some work now through the air and getting in the end zone through the air. That's a beautiful thing. Let me ask you a couple things here with James Cook. All right, let's look at this week. James Cook, we've got at home versus Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. James Cook versus Tampa Bay or Kareem Hunt at Seattle?
I would be taking Kareem Hunt at Seattle over James Cook against Tampa Bay if Kareem Hunt is healthy. If he is still a slightly banged up and it's going to be more of a split, no chance. I'm going James Cook. But a healthy to healthy comparison here, I like Kareem strictly because of the matchup. Slightly bit more. Tampa Bay's rush defense is pretty damn good. We saw them bottle up the Falcons yesterday. Tyler Algier didn't really have a big day. Neither did Cordell Patterson. And obviously we know Bijan Robinson didn't play very much at all. So for me, I really do like the matchup swaying a little bit more towards Kareem. However, again, split backfield, firing up James Cook all day.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, let's give me a couple of receivers here, Frankie. You on the receivers?
Yeah, man. Hey, number one here is Jordan Addison. Welcome to the show, baby. Jordan Addison, John, with 10 targets, caught 7 of them for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable job by the rookie. Truly a guy that's stepping in and is going to be a viable piece for them for years to come.
I'm going to give Kirk Cousins some credit on this one, because watching those highlights and watching Addison's catches, there were like 5 contested catches. And I don't mean contested. I mean literally both the receiver and the corner had their hands on the ball multiple times. One of them ended up being a pick, but his big touchdown, it was the same situation. It was crazy. They both had their hands on the ball. He kind of spun out of it, and the DB lost balance, and he just took off. I mean, it was pretty cool. But hey, good for Kirk Cousins for trusting this guy, throwing the ball in those tight windows like that, knowing that he can get it. Good to see him, man. Number 2, listen, man, my boy band. It's just boy band is fired up here. AJ Brown, man. I mean, he's got to be. He's in the conversation as one of the best receivers in the league right now. He's a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. He's gone. What do we have? 5 games in a row with over 125 yards receiving. I mean, just absolute bananas, man. 25 points out of A.J. Brown. He's the real deal. He's a stud. All right, Frankie, why don't you talk about this guy? Not very many people have him as predicted to be the number 3 receiver on the week, by the way.
No, we're talking about rookie Josh Downs here. And I get it, right? This guy was, I was one of the guys that were saying, hey, you definitely want to sit him this week based on that Browns defense. He had a break. It was a broken play, but still what I love about this dude is that he continues to make plays as a rookie. John, over the last 3 weeks alone, he hasn't had less than double digits. Against the Tennessee Titans, he had 97 yards receiving and 6 receptions. Against that of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he had 21 receiving yards, scored a touchdown with 5 receptions as well. And this past week, right? Yes, I know it was a broken play, but still he had 5 receptions, 125 yards, and a touchdown. John, this guy is absolutely coming in and becoming the number 2 alongside that of Michael Pittman Jr. and Gardner Minshew is targeting him. So listen, for those of you who are looking to, in deep leagues, I will be the first guy to tell you I am starting him this week in one of my leagues. I'm starting Josh Downs because he is emerging truly as a guy that Gardner Minshew is relying on. So I really like him.
All right, after Josh Downs, we've got Puka Nacua. Great game. 8 for 154, 20 points. Yeah, he's a must start every week, man. They may take some turns just like they did this week, Last week, they kind of swapped as well. You start him every week, though, at this point. He's been incredible. Tyreek Hill, ho-hum week, same, 20 points. You're kind of disappointed in that, right? Mike Evans, welcome back from the hamstring. 18 points for Mike Evans. And Amon-Ra St. Brown with 17 points. All right, let's look at some tight ends here. You want to talk about Taylor's boy here?
Yeah, dude. The Travis Kelce just continues to be. I mean, John, can we honestly now say that he's the best tight end in NFL history? Is that something that we're willing? Be. I mean, over Tony Gonzalez, over Gronk, over Antonio Gates, over Jeremy Shockey. I mean, this guy, what he is doing is unfucking real. Yeah. I mean, John, this week alone, he ended up having 12 catches for 179 yards and a touchdown. 179 yards from your tight end. He is the number one tight end. He's also the number 31 overall player in fantasy football and half PPR in scoring, and that includes quarterbacks. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. Well, we went back to predictions here of who the top three tight ends would be. We had Travis Kelce with 30 points, Mark Andrews with 20 points, Darren Waller, good to see you healthy again, brother, at 19 points. In my mind, those really are the three best tight ends in the league. Dallas Goedert, good game, 16 points. Taysom Hill, God damn it. Let's not start this Taysom Hill bullshit this year. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Taysom Hill with 14 points and TJ Hawkinson rounded it out with 14 as well. All right, man. Let's look at our Thursday night preview. Thursday night football on Amazon. This week, we've got the 3-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a bye at the 4-3 Buffalo Bills. Oh, man. Coming off the bye doesn't help you in the spread, does it, Frankie? The Bills are favored by 8.5 points, and the over-under is 42. Okay. Talk to me about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We haven't seen them play in a week. We've got Baker. We've got Godwin, who's questionable. We've got Mike Evans, Rachaad White. What are you thinking in this game against these Buffalo Bills, whose defense does seem to be vulnerable?
Definitely seems vulnerable. Mac Jones is cutting you up, man. I mean, that's a big problem, right? That's a big problem. So for me, John, I really like Mike Evans this week. I think Mike Evans is Baker's guy. We're seeing it unfold. It truly is that dude. I also like Rachaad White. If you need to fire him up, look at what Zeke did. Look at what Ramondre did, right? The Bills are absolutely vulnerable. It's almost like they're playing to the level of their opponent rather than superseding everything. They're staying there and playing with them. So if you're looking for a running back, me being one of those people, I'm firing up Rachaad White and definitely Mike Evans. Depending on Godwin, John, Godwin's been interesting this year. He has absolutely just been meh.
Yeah.
All the way through. Just not shit, not great, just meh. And so if he is not able to go, Mike Evans is a must start everywhere, no questions asked. If he is going, I'm still not 100% sure that I'm willing to fire him up this week because he might be, banged up, obviously. And I just don't know if that's something I'm willing to put to basically ride on there. So for me, it's really looking at two guys.
Rachaad White, we were discussing him prior to the podcast here. You don't hear a lot about him. He hasn't exploded. He's been he's a low end wide receiver too, but running back too. I'm sorry, but he's been pretty solid. I mean, nothing great, but he's just kind of one of those floor players for you with a high floor, kind of a low ceiling as well. He's making up for it with the catches and all that. Let's look at, you've got Rachaad White here at Buffalo or James Cook in the same game against Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go James Cook. Here. And it's strictly because I think that James Cook is going to have a bit more opportunity with Josh Allen rather than that of Baker. That's strictly where it is. Now, Rachaad White could certainly, due to game script, if the Bills end up putting it to him, could have an awesome game script from catches out of the backfield, things of that nature. But for me, with everything riding on this, I would probably end up going James Cook, John.
Okay. I agree with that one, actually. More upside, it seems like to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Rachaad White or Deontay Foreman? Deontay Foreman at the Chargers.
That is tough. That is tough. And after we just said we'll probably want to wait on Deontay Foreman, I'm actually leaning Deontay Foreman. And it's very close. And I'm saying that because if Tyson Bagent is going to play, they're going to rely on the run game again, 100%. And it's also a much more favorable matchup, right? It just is. Are you willing to have the balls to do it is the question. That's really what it comes down to. And so I'm leaning Foreman. However, game time decision, realistically, I would probably, me personally, still go Rachaad White just because I'm a sissy, because I'm scared.
Yeah, and it could depend on your situation.
Totally.
Are you playing against the best guy in the league who's been just dominating and throwing massive points up?
Yep.
Maybe Deontay Foreman's got that potential upside because we're just not sure. He could score 3 touchdowns. Rachaad White, very unlikely to score 3 touchdowns for you. You know, he's probably going to get you 12 points, you know, somewhere around that range. So, but if you're not and you want a steady floor, maybe you took a chance on a few other guys, or you've got Mostert, or you've got, you know, some big boner guys that could be big for you. You just want a nice, steady, double-digit point guy, then Rachaad White would be your guy, I think. That's probably the way to look at it. Yeah. Okay. Rachaad White at Buffalo or Gus Edwards at Arizona?
Man, that's another tough one. Man, that is a tough
I'm not going to give you easy ones,
Wow.
baby. Come on.
So, okay. Interesting. So for me here, this is absolutely going to be roster construction, but I am probably leaning Rachaad White. And I'm saying that because majority of Gus Edwards' points came truly on, I believe it was that screen pass, John, that went for 80 yards that we were talking about earlier. So you've got to think in a PPR, that's already 1 point for the reception. You might get a bonus, right, for a catch over X amount of yards, and then you still get 8 points on top of that. And so right there is, let's just say bare bone 9 points out of his 20. You bring that back down, right, into reality, he's around that 9 to 11 point range. So for me, I'm looking at it as more of that is a great matchup against that of Arizona, but they still have Justice Hill and they still have other running backs that they're getting involved. That is why I would lean slightly towards that of Rachaad White, but you can absolutely make an argument for either.
Yeah, I'm with Rachaad White on that one. You just you don't know. It could be Justice Hill. It could be Gus Edwards. It might have to be a big breakout play for it to happen. I don't like betting on that because you just don't know. All right, talk to me about Buffalo, man. They've had some ups and downs. They've had some struggles. Obviously, great stack option still in fantasy with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Very good.
We've got, you know, the Boomer Bust King with Gabe Davis. How do you feel this week, Frankie? Which one is it? What's it going to be?
Yeah,
Flip the coin.
In deeper leagues, you can take the risk, fire up Gabe Davis, right? If you have a super high floor team, it's okay to have a high flyer like that of Gabe Davis that might be taking the top off. This might be that game that he ends up going nuts. Gabe Davis is either 20 points or he's 4 or he's 2, right? There's really no in between with him. So if you need a risk play, go ahead at any given point in time because he can do that. He can be that guy who I love, John. I love this week. Take away Stephon Diggs. Everybody loves him. Take away Josh Allen. Everybody loves him. James Cook, again, I'm firing him up. Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid is an X factor that has yet to be unlocked by this offense. If we listen, going back to that rookie review that we did, man, I'm telling you, there's a reason why people were so high on him coming out of Utah. He was unbelievable. He was like a receiver playing at the tight end position that has the ability to block. Now, with him having nobody in front of him, Dalton Kincaid could continue to explode and be very similar to that of a Darren Waller. Be very similar to that of, right, a Mark Andrews. I'm not willing to go full-blown Kelsey here because of that of Stephon Diggs, right? But I think that there's absolutely viability here in Dalton Kincaid, and I think he's a must-start this week.
I agree. I love him this week. It's finally time. I think they've done a good job with him. I think he's done a good job with his opportunity. He just hasn't been on the field a whole ton because of Dawson Knox, or they run in the double tight end sets. Use him as kind of a decoy. Dawson Knox ends up getting the catch. You know, it's super annoying having Dalton Kincaid, but I think now is the time. Unlock his ass. Let him go. Let's see what's happening here. They're going to throw out some new looks because you saw Josh Allen in the press conference. He's just like, we've got things to figure out. You know, it's not working and we've got things to figure out. So I think maybe getting Dalton Kincaid involved just a tad more could be very helpful. Absolutely. Anything else on this game, man, you want to talk about? Any fantasy application you thinking about here?
No, I think we rounded out, guys. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. There's a lot of good fantasy players in this game. So tune in, see how the guys are doing. Keep involved and understand what's happening with Godwin, because that will certainly affect Mike Evans, especially in DFS lineups as well. So definitely keep that in mind.
All right. I love it. That's it today, folks. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I feel like Sky Moore. I'm going to go out and do some cardio now. Just go run some routes and not even look for a ball. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Don't forget, follow us on Instagram at Frankly Fantasy Football. Great follow, really good info. We'll give you last-minute advice on what's happening, starts and sits, injury news, and a ton of funny shit to see while you're there, too. And don't forget, I know you're listening on everywhere that podcasts are found. Please subscribe to the YouTube page, the YouTube channel. Click the notification bell. Smash it. Don't pass it. Smash that shit. Yeah, that's right. All right, Frankie, anything else you want to tell everybody here?
Good luck on your Thursday night lineups, guys, and have a blast this week, and tune in for the Starts and Sits episode coming up later this week.
That's right. This week, Friday, starts and sits, smash and pass, hit it and quit it. May the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.